Rivals 2 has been out for a few weeks now, and everyone's gotten a chance to find their main and see what works best for them. I've been playing lots of Orcane in both offline and online brackets, and have the insider scoop on all of his intricate matchups. In this video, I'll be going over how Orcane does into each of the casts, detailing the strengths and weaknesses found in each matchup. I'll start at the top of my list with the best matchups and work my way down to the worst ones. In our solid win tier, we only have Loxodon. His big body makes trapping him at the ledge super easy with bubbles, and him being floaty means it can be much harder for him to escape bubble traps. This combined with the slow frame data means he doesn't have the best tools to combat Orcanes. His big disjoints can be a problem for Orcane, however, and you have to be smart about your recovery since his down tilt does 2-frame you. I find leaving Puddle across the stage means he either has to guard you at the ledge or at your puddle, since he's so slow that characters who can't find a way to juggle both on larger stages normally do bad into Orcane. Orcane also can go deep off stage versus Loxodon, which feels super oppressive in this matchup especially, since being hit once or twice in a bad position for him normally leads to an early death. Moving on to our slightly winning tier, we have Crag. Crag also suffers from being a big body and getting trapped in the bubbles forever, as well as getting his recovery gift. But he does have just enough mix-ups to keep it from happening quite as often as Loxodon. Crag's back air and rock both provide a challenge for Orcane, since they can block Puddle from being placed. And overall, Crag's advantage on Orcane is pretty solid. Orcane has lower airspeed, meaning that he does get comboed for a pretty long time and has trouble landing. However, in neutral, Crag does need to close the gap on Orcane or rely on his rock. And since Orcane is able to play from a distance that lets him react to rock, and has better scrapping tools than Crag, it can be kinda tough. This isn't to say that Orcane will win every neutral interaction against Crag, but he should be winning most of them. Next up is Fleet. Fleet's floaty weight makes her super vulnerable to Orcane's kill confirms, since down tilt and up tilt pop her up to be hit by up air or back air sweet spot. These are both based on DI. Her slower frame data also means that Orcane has a slight advantage in neutral, since she has to be a lot more picky and choosy about which moves she uses at close range. A lot of fleets look for early kills deep off stage that allow them to secure early stocks. This allows Orcane to teleport back to his puddle, however, if they chase it too far. This allows him to flip the script and ledge trap her instead. Orcane does struggle getting past disjoints, however, so if you find yourself losing to fleet over and over, think about your positioning and how you're using your grounded movement to get around those bigger moves. The last character in the slight win tier is Raster. I think this matchup is pretty challenging due to Raster being so fast and comboing you for so long. However, Orcane is one of the only characters that has strong enough anti-airs to keep him out. Since you can't parry in the air, bubbles have very little counterplay. This means Raster is forced to take a grounded approach near Puddle, giving Orcane the upper hand. If Raster is able to win neutral, you will be taking tons of damage, but I suggest just taking this matchup slow and neutral. I suggest, if you are playing as Orcane in this matchup, to press your advantage state super hard, and chase him off stage with Nair and the bottom hit of your up air. He's really light, so Orcane can net early stocks deep off stage. Raster also being floaty does mean he's super vulnerable to Orcane's kill confirms, just like Fleet. Don't be shy to fish for those right around 100 to net early stocks. That wraps up our slight win tier, but before we move on to our even matchups, I just want to ask you to subscribe if you're rocking with the content. I'm a small grassroots tournament organizer that runs free weekly online and offline events in East Texas. Hitting 1,000 subscribers would allow us to make revenue from the ads you've already seen on this video, allowing me to fund more prizes to the events. Thanks bunches, and we'll go ahead and get back to the matchup chart. For our first even matchup, I have Zetterburn. Zetter is one of the only characters with similar frame data to Orcane that can actually match Orcane's mash. This isn't a huge problem, however, since Orcane down tilt and up tilt alongside Puddle can make it a nightmare for Zetterburn to approach. However, once he does get in, Orcane is super vulnerable to big combo strings, due to his unfortunate airspeed. Both characters kill each other on similar presents, but I think that Orcane being able to gimp Zetter off stage with Dare and the bottom hit of up air is a consistent threat that Orcane can hold over Zetter. If you're having trouble in this matchup as an Orcane player, I suggest try to keep Zetterburn above you, since his landing tools aren't the best, and maybe keep him off stage as long as you can, just to rack up damage, if not get an early kill. For our last matchup in this tier, we have Clarin. In Rivals 1, Clarin is really strong into Orcane since her big disjoints kept him out easy. However, the combination of Clarin's frame data not allowing her to play as mashy, and shields allowing Orcane to pace neutral a little more in his favor, she's a little bit worse against him. This isn't to say the matchup's easy for Orcane, but neutral isn't quite as hopeless. Clarin is really great at ledge guarding and trapping, however if she overcommits off stage, Orcane can simply hop back to his puddle on stage and ledge trap her instead. I do find her no fun zone to be super dangerous on small stages as well, so maybe try and take her to the larger stages if you can. For our first Slightly Losing matchup, we have Forest Burn. Forest Burn isn't so terrible for Orcane, but I think the big grounded disjoint plus smoke can be a little bit overwhelming for Orcane in some positions. His recovery is also a little bit harder to gimp since it is a teleport and can be mixed up with smoke. However, it's not the best recovery overall, so ledge hogging it isn't too tough. I like to bring him to stages like Harbor, which might mess him up since the wall's a little bit tricky to recover with. His ledge trapping against Orcane can be really hard to get around, since his F-Strong 1 beats most of your options. I suggest mixing up timings to catch Forest off guard. I also recommend being super patient when trying to get in, since one misstep in the smoke can be super dangerous and lead to getting comboed to 60 or an early death. Our other slight loss is Rano. Rano's lightweight means that Orcane can steal early stocks. However, his massive combo game and 50-50 throws make it crucial to win neutral as often as possible. I like to grab a lot and use tons of jab and down tilt in this matchup, since they slightly outspeed or outspace Rano's options. One other tip for the matchup is to counter his jump-ins with bubbles, since you can't shield or parry in the air against bubbles, which are their main counterplay. The more slow you make neutral play, the more Rano has to guess 50-50s right, which will extend your lifespan as Orcane or any character in the matchup. His recovery is also a little gimpable if you stop him from setting up his bubble slingshots. I find Bubble Butt and Bear to be great at this. For our last and worst matchup, we have Maple. Maple being super fast, compounded with her being able to camp around Lily, makes neutral a nightmare, since Orcane loves to control space on the ground, which is where Lily likes to hang out. Her huge combos outdamage Orcane, and she has much more consistent kill power and setups. Her recovery is one of the only ones that feels super tricky to edgeguard against, especially if she has Terry at ledge. Maple being light does mean that you're able to down tilt confirm into kill aerials pretty early, but past that, this matchup feels pretty bleak. If you're an Orcane player struggling, I suggest trying to keep Maple out with your larger hitboxes and using throws to remove Lily. This will open up more room for you to operate in on the ground. I don't think this matchup is hopeless by any means, so if you're looking to solo main Orcane, I'd recommend watching tons of Maple VODs and making sure you know how to counterplay her common kill setups. But I don't think that a secondary is necessary, but it wouldn't hurt. That just about wraps up our tier list. Did I get everything right, or do you think your main belongs somewhere else? Let me know. I'm working on a stage pick and band guide, going over each character's best and worst stages. And if you want to be a part of that, drop a comment with your main, their best 2 or 3 stages, and worst 2 or 3 stages. It helped me out a ton, and the video should be out in about a week. If you're looking for more content, you're in luck. I've got a full Rivals 2 guide playlist waiting to be checked out. It's on the screen right now, and I'll see you next time. Bye.